So in the last class we have seen the nervous system. In that we have understood the structure of a neuron, and let us see what is the stimulus and all. So these stimuli are the ones which are responsible for whatever the changes which are happening in the body, whatever the response we are giving in our body. So let us see what is this stimulus and all. Any doubt regarding the structure of neuron?
No, sir.
No,
Okay.
sir.
No, sir.
Yeah, you can see here. This is what is a stimulus. Stimuli is the plural form of it. What are the stimuli? So, as I told you, whatever the changes which are happening in the environment for which the organisms are going to respond are called stimuli. They are all called stimuli. We have so many stimuli. It can be the changes in the now today. I think it is more cloudy in our area also. In Kuligeri Cross, in JNU Chellukopa, it is raining today. Yesterday also it rained, and throughout the night it has been raining, and still it is continuing. And it is very cloudy. What about your place? What about your place?
Yes, sir. Here also, sir.
Yeah, there also same thing. That's good. So,
Yes, sir.
because of which what happens here, now we are feeling bit cold also because of that. That is a stimulus. Wherein 2 days back it was bit hot. Is it not? And we have, so now you are listening and you are able to respond to me. So that is the voice, the sound. Is it not? So, and you have been able to see the PPT and then you are able to read or you are able to respond to that. And maybe in your house now something is being prepared and you are getting the smell of it. Are you getting a smell of the item which is being prepared in your house?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that smell is there. So like that we have so many things which are happening around us, that is in the environment, and all these things which are happening around us, so they act as stimuli. It is up to us whether we have to respond to the stimulus or not, but every minute, every fraction of second, some or other changes are happening around us. So that can be in the form of heat, or it can be in the form of cold, sound, smell, taste, touch. We feel it, then pressure, gravity, water, and whatnot. Whatever the changes which are happening around us is said to be the stimulus. And for this stimulus, we are going to respond. And that response is always going to be in the form of movement of our muscles, that results in the body movements. So that's why yesterday we were speaking about that. The neurons, the terminal end of the neuron is connected to either another neuron or maybe other muscle fiber. What do you call it, muscle fiber or muscle? I gave a word, specific word for that. What is that? Huh? I gave you a word which represents these muscles. They are the ones which are going to perform the function. Huh? Did I mention the word effector? Did I mention the word effector? So, muscle fiber I told, along with that I made a point that they are also called effectors. Effector is the one which is providing the response. So, that's what is there. And that is the stimulus which is there. And we have the coordination. This we have already discussed, where there should be proper coordination between different systems which are there. We made a mention about how our vigorous physical exercise result in the increased breathing, and increased breathing results in increased heartbeat. so that the transportation take place. One is interlinked to other in this case. So that's why this coordination is another important thing. Once we get the stimuli and we are going to respond, and since different organ systems are involved, they need to be coordinated and also they need to be controlled. And this control and coordination is done by nervous system and also endocrine system. So anyway, about plants we will have a discussion later on. Now in the case of animals, so we have the nervous system where we have the brain, spinal cord and also the nerves. Okay, and apart from that we also have the sensory neurons. Sensory neurons are present here. Also, or you can say sensory organs in which the neurons are present. So these sensory organs, so which are the sensory organs? Can you tell me the sensory organs? How many sensory organs are there in our body?
Five.
Five. Which are they?
Yes, sir.
Huh? Which are the sensory organs in our body?
Skin, sir.
Eyes,
Skin.
nose,
One by
ear,
one. Skin.
skin, eyes,
Skin, okay,
Nose,
then?
ear,
Huh?
eyes,
Eyes,
nose,
ear,
nose,
skin,
somebody told ears,
tongue, tongue, sir.
tongue. These are the five sensory organs. Panchendriyaಗಳು ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. And they have, so why are they called sensory organs? What make them to get or take those changes which are happening around us, that is in the environment? What do you call these changes which are happening in the environment?
stimulus,
Stimuli. Stimulus is the singular. So what makes these sensory organs to receive these stimuli? So wherein other organs are not able to receive the stimuli, only these five sensory organs are able to receive the stimuli. So for that it is because of the receptors which are present here. These are the special cells which are able to receive the message in different forms. So we told about the heat, we told about the light, we told about the taste, we told about the sound. They are all going to act as the stimuli. For that, there are some special cells which have been modified to receive the stimuli, and those modified cells are said to be the receptors. So we have photoreceptors, you can find here. This is called photoreceptors. They are present in the eyes, which are responsible for detecting the light. They detect the light. Then phonoreceptors, they are present in the ears to detect the sound. They are also called olfactory receptors. Sorry, auditory receptors. What is another name for that? Phonoreceptors?
auditory receptors,
Auditory. You can write down that. Auditory receptors. Auditory means hearing. So phonoreceptors, which are also called auditory receptors, where are they present?
ears,
They are present in the ears, which are responsible for receiving the sound. That means they detect the sound. Then olfactory receptors. So some sweet, if your mother is preparing, immediately will get. If bonda is being prepared, immediately you will get the smell. Is it not? Is it not? So you will be able to say whether it is bonda or something else. So that is because of olfactory receptors which are present in the nose. Where are they present? Where are they present? They are present in the nose. And we have the gustatory receptors which are present in the tongue to detect the taste. Which are the tastes which we normally have? What are all the different tastes? What are all the different tastes which we can taste?
sweet,
Sour,
sour,
sweet,
sweet,
then It can be salty,
bitter,
bitter, like that different tastes are there. So that is received by the receptors called gustatory receptors. So they have asked it in the examination also before last year. Receptors in the tongue and receptors in the nose. Olfactory receptors in nose and gustatory receptors in tongue. And in the skin, tango receptors. So there are different type of receptors which are present in them. So that is, one is tango receptors. Okay. Mechanoreceptors also we call. There is another one which is also present here. So there are different ones. Anyway, tango receptors are one of the type of receptors present in the skin. So they are all receiving, they are all called receptors. Where are they present? Where are these receptors present?
sensory organ,
They are present in sensory organs. Then I made a mention. So these effectors, what are these effectors? Huh? Mainly it is the muscles which are responsible for the movement. Once we receive the stimuli, we are going to respond by in the form of movement or in the form of secretion. That secretion is done by the glands. The secretion is done by glands. That's why the muscles and glands are said to be the effectors. The one which is going to respond, the one which responds to the stimulus is said to be effector. And they are the ones, muscles and glands respond to the information, that is the stimulus, from the brain and spinal cord through the motor nerves. And in the nerves, we are having two types. So the neurons are of two types, or you can also say three types, but mainly two types. One is said to be sensory neuron. So types of neuron you can write there. In the two types, one is called sensory neuron and another one is said to be motor neurons. Okay? Are you listening or hearing?
yes sir,
Sensory
Yes, sir.
neurons and also motor neurons. So sensory neurons are the ones which carry information from the receptors to the brain and spinal cord. So from the sensory organs, the information has to be taken to the brain and also spinal cord, which forms central nervous system, and where that is going to be processed and the specific response is going to be given, and that response has to be brought from brain to the effectors. Which are the effectors? Which are the effectors?
muscles and glands,
Muscles and glands. So these neurons which bring the information, bring the message from brain and also spinal cord to the effectors, that is the muscles and glands, are said to be motor neurons. What do you call them? They are said to be motor neurons. So the sensory neurons, that is sensory nerves, and motor neurons, which are also called motor neurons. And we have another type called the relay neurons. What is another type called? Relay neurons. This relay neuron is responsible for interconnecting the sensory neuron with motor neurons. They interconnect sensory neurons with motor neurons. So you can see, look at the human nervous system. We have two things here. This one, what is this part? What is this part called? Which organ is this? Huh?
Brain, sir.
It is your brain.
brain,
So brain and also this one, a main nerve which is there, which is a bit thick, which passes through the vertebral column, is called, what is this called? Spinal cord. What is this called? Spinal cord. This brain and spinal cord forms the central nervous system. And you can see here, from the spinal cord, you can see so many neurons. These are all neurons which are connected to different parts of the body. It may be the legs, it may be the hand, it can be the chest cavity or abdominal cavity, or maybe with the face. So these neurons which are connected from the central nervous system to all other parts of the body is said to be peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system, which we call it as CNS, and which we call it as the peripheral nervous system, that is called PNS, peripheral nervous system. So we have this nervous system here. You can see here central nervous system, parts of the nervous system, central nervous system, brain and spinal cord. This is the brain and also spinal cord. You can see the vertebrae. Have you seen the vertebrae? Have you seen the vertebrae? ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ vertebrae? Yes or no?
No, sir.
I will show you. I will show them. Then these spinal cord are going to pass through the neuron. They pass through this neuron. The spinal cord is there. This passes through the vertebrae which are present in our backbone. And the peripheral nervous system consists of nerves which are arising out from the brain and also the spinal cord. From the brain and also spinal cord, there are neurons which arise, and they are the ones which connect to the different parts of the body. Okay, so we call those nerves which are arising out of the brain as cranial nerves. What do you call them? Cranial nerves. Okay, so this is about the types of the different parts of the nervous system. Or in that we have CNS, central nervous system, and PNS, that is peripheral nervous system. Any doubt in this? Any doubt?
No, sir. No,
Okay,
sir.
shall I move forward?
No, sir.
ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ಲಾ?
Yes, sir.
You can see here
Yes, sir.
the brain. This is the spinal cord. Spinal cord. This is the spinal cord, and you have the vertebrae. Vertebrae here. This is how it looks. Okay. So you can see the cranial nerves which are arising out of the brain, and other neurons which are arising out of spinal cord. Okay. So this structure of neuron already we have studied. Any doubt regarding this structure of neuron? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is the neuron, that is the nerve cell, which is the structural and also functional unit of neuron. The nerve system. Which is the structural and functional unit of the nervous system? It is the neuron. Okay. So where you can see this structure of neuron. This is the squamous cell, and these are the terminal end of the neuron. Okay, axon terminals we can also call. They are the ones which are going to make the junctions. You can find here how they are forming the junctions here. That we call it as synapse. What is that called? This is called synapse. The junction between two neurons is called synapse. Here, terminal end of the one neuron, let me say this, the first neuron which is bringing the information is connected to dendron of the next neuron. Okay, you can see the direction of movement of these nerve impulses. So this is called synapse. What is this called? Synapse. Okay, what is that called? Synapse. Okay, where both are joined here. Both neurons are joined in this case. That is called synapse. You can see. So the junction between two neurons is called synapse. Synaptic cleft also we call it. Synaptic cleft. Okay, and we will see later on. So they are, once the dendrons receive the stimulus, they are going to produce electrical impulses through some chemical changes. The chemical changes happen which are responsible for providing or producing the nerve impulses, that is what we call it as electrical impulses. This is the junction. And before going into the brain, so let us see what exactly happens in what is the normal way of acting in this case here. Before going into that, so any question on these things which we are discussion now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No doubt?
ಸರ್
Yes?
ಸಿನಾಪ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್?
There is a chemical called acetylcholine. What is that called? Acetylcholine. So that is the one which is going to be produced, which we call it as neurotransmitter. What is that called? Neurotransmitter. The name given for that one is neurotransmitter. So in this, here we can just see. Now I'll show you the what is that? So you have not seen the vertebrae, no? 1 minute, I am bringing them. See, these are the vertebrae. These are the vertebrae. You can see, if you just touch your back like this, you will find that some protruding end, the pinpointed end. Okay, so this is the one which is there here. This is the backward, and like this, they are going to be present one above the other. One ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಹಿಂಗೆ ನಿಂತಿರ್ತದೆ. And between these vertebrae, like this, the vertebrae are present, So here in between that, joint is there. Okay, ligament is going to be present in that. Anyway, and here how the spinal cord is going to be present in this. So let me say this is the spinal cord. You can see one cavity which is present here. Are you able to see the cavity? Katta idenappa? So one cavity, hole is there. Can you see that one? So let me say this is the spinal cord. It passes through like this. You see, it passes through like this. So these are the vertebrae, and this is present like this. These are present like this, and it passes through like this. This is the spinal cord. What is this called? Spinal cord. So this plays very important role, because this is the one which carries the message to all parts of the body from the brain, and whatever the information is coming, that is our sensory organs are going to receive, that is going to pass through the spinal cord to the brain. So that's why the spinal cord and also brain are very important parts of our nervous system, which form the central nervous system. And how exactly the things are going to happen in this? Enagagutte idu? If you look at the things, any question up to now? Now let us see the normal way by which we get the messages here. So what is that which is going to receive the message? How our nervous system is going to function? Yes?
Sensory.
What is that? In that we have yeah, you are correct. The sensory organ. Can you see this one? This is the sensory organ. Okay, whichever the sensory organ you take. So in this sensory organ, we have what is present in this? What is that which is going to receive the stimuli in the sensory organ?
Receptors.
Sensory receptor. Sensory receptors are present here. And let me say there is some stimulus. So that is going to be received by the sensory receptors, and these sensory receptors, once they receive the message here, so there are some neurons. Which are the neurons which connect or which take the message from sensory receptors, that is sensory organs, to the spinal cord? Which are they? It is going to be the sensory neurons. What do you call them? There are, I told you about the three types of neurons. One is called sensory neurons. Am I correct? Did you speak about that? Matadidindro? Yes or no? So they are called the sensory neurons, and these sensory neurons, are you listening or not? Are you hearing or not?
Yes, sir.
So these sensory neurons are the ones which take the message from the sensory receptors present in the sensory organ, and they take the message to the here we are having, so let me say this is the vertebra, and also here you are having spinal cord. This is spinal cord. And this message is brought to the spinal cord here. And in the spinal cord, so the message from the spinal cord, the message is taken to the brain. From here you can see this spinal cord runs, this is the spinal cord which is present here, this goes to the brain. This goes to the brain. Here also, so same thing, there is sensory neuron which is responsible for this. Okay, and in the brain it is going to be processed here, and some information, some response is going to be provided by processing it. We will see when we study about the brain, how the processing will be taking place. In brief, we will be discussing about that. Now, once the information goes to the brain, so from there you can see there are neurons which bring information from them. What do you call that neuron? What do you call this neuron?
Neuron.
What is this neuron called? Motor neuron. And the one which carries the message to the brain is said to be
Central.
What do you call this? Sensory neuron. So that is being the information which is taken by the sensory neuron to the brain is processed, and then they are going to respond. They are going to provide some information to the effectors. And from here they come to the spinal cord, and from the spinal cord that will be brought. So you can see from here, if this information is brought to the effector. Which is the effector here? Which is the effector? It can be the muscles, or it can be the glands. Muscles or the glands here. So here this information is brought by the neurons, we call them as motor neurons. Which neurons are there? This is the motor neurons which are there here. And like this, the information is brought here, and these muscles and also the glands are responsible for the effect. they are going to be responsible for the response. You see, response to the stimulus is going to take in this way here. This is the pathway, the normal pathway. In the normal circumstances, this is how it is happening here. So the stimulus is received by the stimuli, which are sensory receptors present in the sensory organs, and these sensory organs, once they receive the stimulus through the sensory neurons, they are transmitted. Of course, they convert them into nerve impulses, and in the form of nerve impulses, they are taken to the spinal cord, from there to the brain, where that information is processed, and then after the processing the information, the motor neurons carry the information to the spinal cord, and from there again to the effectors, which are nothing but the muscles and also the glands. And then, so the effectors are going to provide a specific response which has been intimated by the brain. So this is the normal pathway. This is the normal pathway. Normal pathway of the transmission of nerve impulses here. Any question on this? This is the normal one which happens in the normal circumstances. Any question here?
Sir,
Yes.
which nerve,
Pardon me?
which nerve carry the nerve impulse from the spinal cord to brain, sir?
Which one? Spinal cord, motor neurons only there also.
Which nerve carries, sir, either the
Sensory neurons. Sensory neurons, you know. From spinal cord to brain, sensory neurons. I have shown them. And from the brain to the spinal cord also, there also it is motor neurons. Any information from the sensory organs to the brain is by sensory neurons. And any information from brain to the effectors is by motor neurons.
motor neurons.
Okay, motor neurons. Any question here?